always okay now.
Yeah, now we're on.
Got it? Is that on?
Screen's not,
The screen's not, but we're
which I have hard copy. Do you have hard? Okay.
on monitor.
Give you just a second since you're up there.
No, I can't get it turned on. Hey, Devin, can we turn that on?
Excuse our technology issues, please. Okay, perfect. So at 5:31, I'll call this meeting of our July 28th meeting of the Historic District Commission to order. We'll start with roll call. Corey Parks, Chair.
Josh Hamilton, Vice Chair.
Jenny Davis, Secretary.
Liz Hamilton?
Jason Covington, Commissioner.
Carolyn White's Commissioner.
Thank y'all so much. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes. We'll move to item I of the agenda, which is public hearing item for the Old Conway Design Overlay District. We only have one. And so with that, I'll turn it over to you, Tara.
Thank you. The item is at 611 Walnut Street, located in the Old Conway Overlay District, zoning T3 of the Northeast Old Conway Area Specific Plan. It is located in the suburban zone of that specific plan. The applicant is proposing a 1,916 square foot single-family residence with an attached garage in a minimal traditional style. Regarding setbacks and spacing, the applicant has provided a site plan that, upon review of the project, staff found to have potential inaccuracies when measuring property dimensions from aerial photography based upon assessor's data. However, the applicant, based upon this site plan, is proposing a 23-foot setback, 9-foot western interior setback, and a 5-foot eastern interior setback with a greater than 6-foot rear setback. Due to some of those potential inaccuracies of the parcel boundaries, staff has, as I will read further on in my report, recommended that an updated site plan be submitted confirming these setbacks and that they meet the guidelines. That also goes with the lot coverage, it being unclear based upon the dimensions. However, based upon that assessor's data with the parcel acreage, it appears to be approximately 35%, which is in conformance with the 60% lot coverage maximum. For garages and outbuildings, the attached garage facade extends in front of the center line of the house and dominates the facade of the structure. That is not in conformance with the guidelines, which recommend a recessed garage or a detached rear garage. There is an existing outbuilding on the property that's not shown on the site plan that will need to be included. If it is to be demolished, that should be noted. It should also be noted in the any lot coverage tabulations. The driveway, the type of driveway material is unclear, and the design may not be practical. So an updated site plan, again, is recommended. For sidewalks, a 5-foot sidewalk with a 6.5-foot green space is required. If 6.5 feet of green space cannot be accommodated due to the street configuration and just the amount of room, then the maximum amount of green space shall be installed between the back of curb and the sidewalk. No fence is shown on the site plan. Should a fence be installed, it must meet the Old Conway Design Overlay Guidelines. One tree will need to be planted. There does not appear to be any significant trees on the property. The applicant is in general conformance with the scale of structures in the neighborhood. The average square footage for residences in the neighborhood is 1,550 square feet, and the applicant is proposing the 1,436 square feet single-family residence with the 480 square foot attached garage. For facade, wall area, and rhythm, the garage elevation shows no windows. The right elevation shows one. The front and rear appear to have approximately 25% window coverage. It is staff's recommendation that additional windows be considered. And that also goes with the style that this residence may benefit from some additional design elements such as windows, or even the recessed garage may contribute to some breaks in the wall plane. With that, the conditions for consideration by the commission are that a building permits be applied for, that the property shall either be replatted or indeed showing it in its current configuration for at least 10 years must be provided to planning and development prior to issuance of the building permit. Sidewalks shall be constructed. One tree from the permitted tree species list shall be planted prior to building permit final. Fencing shall conform to the guidelines, and prior to issuance, this thing again.
Doesn't like you.
It doesn't. I need a different one. Prior to issuance of a certificate of appropriateness, the applicant shall submit for review by planning staff a site plan and elevation showing accurate parcel boundary dimensions, structures built to appropriate setbacks, sidewalks, driveway location, dimensions, and materials, lot coverage, including driveway area, garage location, setback from the front facade of the house, status of existing shed at rear property, additional architectural details as determined by the commission. All lighting shall be downward and inward, HVAC equipment shall be shown, and an authorization of agent form submitted prior to issuance of building permits.
Thank you so much. Is our applicant here to speak on behalf of this? If you could just join us at the podium here, and then if you'll state your name and address, please.
Edgar Gonzalez, and I live in 1308 Collier Drive.
Are there any questions as it relates to the conditions that have been put forward?
No, sir, I understand everything
Okay.
she said.
I do want to make particular notice of the need for the site plan to as that is one of the conditions, because I just want to clarify with you. So assuming that we were to pass this, what does it look like on accountability for it aligning with what you would expect? Like, assuming that happens, then they're good to go, right? There's not a...
If the commission votes to approve the conditions as I wrote, then what would need to happen is prior to the certificate of appropriateness being issued, he would present that to staff, I would review it, then I would issue it, and then he could pull building permits.
Okay. So assuming, as he said, that they're good with it and you all would be good with the resubmitted site plan, then they wouldn't have to come before us. They would just be able to handle it at the staff level.
Yes.
Okay. Do y'all have questions for the applicant or feedback?
No, I don't.
Any questions for us?
Sir,
Okay. Thank you so much.
thank you.
With that, I'll close the public. What? Oh, got out of habit. Anyone to speak against this? Hearing none, now I will close the public portion and we'll bring it back into the commission.
Yeah, seems straightforward to me. I'm good with it.
Other comments?
Are you asking them to redesign the layout of the house as well?
I'm asking, yes. So for the garage to be recessed, and then for the commissioners to discuss whether additional windows are appropriate on the left elevation, which is currently the garage. Now, once that garage is recessed back, that will change sort of the break in the plane. And then, can you scroll a little bit more down? If commissioners are comfortable with the right side elevation, number of windows, and then the rear does have a sufficient amount.
Feedback from our subject matter expert? No pressure.
Without a site plan to review and without elevations that are accurate, what can we vote to approve? Because, and again, it just sounds like it'll come back to you and you'll review it at staff level?
If the commissioners are comfortable with that, otherwise the commissioners could to table this and then the applicant can come back next month. Keep in mind, this item has been tabled once, so then it can be tabled 2 times. And on the 3rd time that it is heard, it will have to either be approved or denied, but that is definitely an option.
Why was it tabled the first time?
Applicant did not make the notification. Got their notification out late, I should clarify.
Yeah.
They did make public notice.
Other questions or feedback?
Move that we accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission regarding 611 Walnut Street.
Any staff?
Thank you. Thank you.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to accept the recommendations or the conditions as proposed by the planning staff. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So to our applicant, I would just make sure to work closely with the planning staff to meet these conditions. So that way we can ensure that you're in conformance with, that's words hard, that you're conforming with the conditions as they've been laid out. I was trying to find conformance in one. I've lost my paper. So we'll now move to our additional business portion of the agenda. Tara?
So this, the additional portion is in 2019 and 2020, the previous planning director worked with having public input sessions and a consultant, as well as some of the previous members of HDC, to compile a historic preservation plan. This historic preservation plan was adopted by the HDC at the time, and it was also adopted, or the recommendation for adoption went through Planning Commission, and then it was adopted via resolution by City Council in March of 2021. And what it does is it is a component of the city's citywide comprehensive plan. One of the recommendations in this is that on page 35, it states that there shall be more administrative actions for the old Conway Design Overlay District. This would not affect the Robinson Historic District at all. And what that means is it's similar to a process that we have in Markham Street, where if something meets all of the guidelines as outlined in the old Conway ordinance, then the administrator, so someone from planning staff, would look at it and be able to say, you would be able to issue a certificate of appropriateness. If there are any deviations from the guidelines that require a discretionary approval, then it would need to go before Historic District Commission. And so what planning staff is working on as we are going through our zoning code and making updates. This is not a part of the zoning code, but it's a component of design review. As we are going through this, we are working towards adopting an ordinance that would be the implementation strategy for adhering to this recommendation made by the Historic Preservation Plan. And so what I've distributed the Historic Preservation Plan to the commissioners. And at the next meeting, prior to the next meeting, we'll also distribute some draft language for consideration. And then I will ask for any sort of feedback. We can do that 2 times based upon the timeline, as we're also working to get other aspects of our zoning code and design review to City Council late this year.
So you said that this would not apply to the Robinson. This is only for the old Conway Design Overlay District.
Correct.
Meaning that Robinson would still have to follow the come before here.
Yes, so for the Robinson Historic District, whether something needs a building permit or not, anything that changes the exterior will need to come before the Historic District Commission.
So Tara, I recognize that we're limited on how we can communicate via email. So maybe something that would be helpful for us is, as we're here, or maybe, I think it's allowed since I'm asking in the meeting, but could you share specific areas of that report that you would like us to focus on in preparation for our conversation at a future meeting? Because I think that would just, because it's what, a 80-page document?
Yes.
Not to say that it's not worthwhile looking at all of it, but
Yeah.
just if there are specific areas that we should pay attention to, and I know, like calling out page 35, for instance, that would be, I think, helpful for us.
So page 35 is the main one for the administrative review, and how it also discusses that applicant, if they disagree with staff, can also come before HDC. Other aspects of that report that I would recommend is it does specify certain are areas that are already on the National Register, and any sort of recommendations that you notice for those areas that you may want to discuss.
Okay. And sorry, didn't mean to put you on the spot, but just trying to be responsive to your email on our non-discussion within the email thread. Other things that may be helpful to the commission as we consider that?
It makes a lot of sense. No, it's going to conform.
On the surface, to me, it feels like it would remove a step from applicants. Is that a fair representation?
That's the intent. Is we do have instances. Staff works with the public a lot in terms of design, and then getting it to a point where hopefully it can be approved by HDC. And this is to remove that step when somebody, says like, yeah, I can do all of that. And then we just say, well, now you still have to wait the month for it to be approved when they're meeting all of the guidelines.
And the overlay district feels so much bigger than the Robinson district too. Like, I feel like.
It is, because it goes, east of Harkrider. It also encompasses Neoka. Markham Street has its own design standards, so Markham Street will not be impacted by this, but as I stated, Markham Street already does this. And then it's all the way to Donaghy. So it is rather large, and it's very eclectic in many ways, and so we definitely run in instances where it might be something like a porch, just somebody doing a porch remodel. This would be something that if that porch remodel meets the guidelines, they would be able to get an administrative action in a much shorter amount of time.
What does the timeline look like for an applicant in that scenario?
Honestly, then it's planning staff workload. I think 14 days is something that I've considered a 2-week turnaround.
What is it now?
Right now, it's a 30-day turnaround.
Yeah, on top of not only the waiting period, but then the notice. And
Yep. Then they won't have to do public notification either.
Have the capacity to take on that workload?
Yes. It would be pretty much, it would be the same workload, and actually would, to be perfectly honest, and this is not why we're doing it, but then it wouldn't be necessarily drafting whole reports. It would be a checklist like we do with Markham Street.
Yeah.
Going through that.
So will it be like we've had, and I know it doesn't happen that often, but like, would we still receive the administrative review notice that we get when it happens?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not going to hold you to this, and you can undershoot it, but how many applicants would that remove from the Historic District Commission's review? Like, does that decrease this commission's workload by 10% or 70%? Not workload, but you know what I'm saying? Like, because Robinson will still be typical, but
Right.
we don't have Robinson on every agenda.
I don't know the answer because it's so varied, right? Like the differences in projects that we get throughout the year. I I can't answer that. That's something that I might be able to sort of feel out based upon the last like 2 years, how many I think would have just been an administrative, and then I could give kind of an estimate then.
The only thing that I considered, and I still think this is a great idea, and I'm still all for it. And the last meeting made me think about it, is if your neighbors really didn't want this. Like, we removed that recourse from them. And that's, I mean, like Markham Street already operates that way,
Right.
so it's not like that's unheard of in most of Conway. But we've, and maybe, I think the overlay district's newer than the Robinson, is that correct?
It is.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the public notification and, all of the public involvement that we've seen recently, all that gets eliminated this step. And also just the commission's review and approval and recommendations. I mean,
So I can't say that this would be 100% of the time, but something that is highly contentious would be something that would most likely be discretionary. So our more recent project was Robinson, so that's not being touched. But that was something that, for example, in terms of height, staff would not be able to necessarily make determination. So that would be a discretionary review. I think that things that are contentious would be discretionary.
Well, and I would say, isn't it already kind of standard practice where even if planning staff has the ability to approve something administratively, if it has a potential to be at least slightly controversial, like it's been, because I know there's at least an item or two that have been referred to planning commission that didn't necessarily have to be, but it made sense to have that additional opportunity for input.
That would be like a similar procedure that we have with site development review, then going. So site development review is something that only every once in a while affects the historic district. But yes, that's a similar process where staff can look at the regulations and say this meets all of the regs. And then when it doesn't, they can apply for exceptions, which go to city council.
Yeah.
And then there's also another aspect that can go to planning commission. So I do think it's a similar situation.
Okay.
I'm not too worried about it. I just wanted to bring it up because I'm actually largely a private property person. Like, it's your house, it's your backyard. That's usually and if y'all say it's fine, that's usually where I land. How long has it been? I should know this. How long has it been an overlay district? Exactly how many years? I feel like it's less of an issue since probably most of the people who bought their property in this district have owned it since before it was an overlay district, if that makes any sense. Like, when they bought it, these regulations were not in place.
So the overlay district went into effect in 2006.
And then Robinson was 2002, right? Yeah.
And then originally, I'm just pointing this out because I want to highlight there has been changes in the way it's just been addressed and reviewed. Is that originally there were separate boards, and there was the old Conway Design Review Board, and there was the Historic District Commission, which oversaw the Robinson Historic District, and then they were merged. So that just kind of highlights that, this has been sort of an adaptive process since 2006.
Sure. How many meetings can the planning staff
Yeah.
attend? I think it's a good idea. Thank you for thinking about this and working on it.
Other questions for Tara? Any other additional items that we need to discuss? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank y'all. I'm not on it.